Today, we're cutting through the noise and exposing a deadly flaw in the reality-based self-defense community. It's no secret this field is littered with junk techniques that look good in theory, but can get you killed in the real world. One of the most dangerous myths, teaching defensive techniques that commit both of your arms to control a single attacking limb. This common practice not only leaves you vulnerable to a variety of possible counters, but also defies the brutal realities of a chaotic fight. In this video, I'm going to show you why this approach is fundamentally flawed and reveal the best defensive technique for real-world self-defense, a method that works under pressure, in chaos, and against the threats you actually face. Let's check it out. So to begin, first understand that we're working from a situation which is a pre-contact scenario, meaning the adversary has not attacked yet, but there's a good possibility that he might. Now, generally, most reality-based self-defense systems have some sort of pre-contact stance. For contemporary fighting arts, we have the de-escalation stance and our first strike stance, and depending if he's in kicking punching range or grappling range, these hand positionings will change. Now, from this reference point, what I'm referring to is many of these reality-based self-defense systems will use both arms to stop an assault on one side. For example, if someone throws a right haymaker, which is coming to my left side, they'll use two arms to obstruct the attack, or they'll crash through the line and come in with the different types of techniques. These techniques are inherently flawed because if anybody understands the real chaos of combat is, you don't know what side it's coming from. You don't know if he's armed or unarmed until it's over. You have to understand this is what chaos is about. This is what real fighting is about. Unpredictable nature of combat. So in contemporary fighting arts, in my system of combat, from the reference point of the stance, we use our arms to block, and we only need one. You don't need two. Now, if you're a smaller individual or if you're a female faced with a very large adversary, there are times where you can use a reinforced block, but those are under very limited circumstances. But as a go-to technique, where from this stance you commit both arms to defending against one side, let me tell you something, based on something that I've experienced, real-world combat, this will not work. If you're finding this video helpful, make sure to smash the like button. It's a simple way to support the channel and also let me know that you want more content like this. Don't forget to subscribe and also hit the notification bell so you never miss a lesson that could actually make a difference in a real fight. And finally, if you know someone who could benefit from this knowledge, be sure to share this video. It might just help them stay safe. Together, let's spread the word about real self-defense. One of the deadly flaws of these techniques, these defensive techniques that require you to commit to one side only, is that you're assuming he's going to be right-handed. You're assuming that he's only going to throw that right hand. So that's why many times you watch these videos, and here's a good litmus test for you. Watch them do these live demonstrations and count how many times they do it off the right side, meaning the opponent throws the right haymaker and they do their defensive technique, or they do this defensive technique, and it's always on the right side. How come they don't do it off the left side? Or how come it's not spontaneous where the opponent's facing you and he just goes ballistic and throws any side? It's always on one side. The benefit to having hands in this position and blocking either to the left or to the right is you don't know what side he's going to throw the attack. It covers you from each side. Committing to one with any of these techniques is saying that I really think he's going to throw it on that side, on the left side, which is his right arm. You don't want that. That's a risk you don't want to take in a fight. Another problem with defensive techniques that commit to one side, such as using two hands on one side, or this type of spiking elbow, is against multiple attackers. If you go ahead and you crash through the line, or you commit to one side, you're invariably locking up with the assailant. What happens when you have more than one opponent? You're now locked up with one, you've anchored onto one, and now the other one's starting to work on you. And just think, if this is what your defensive response is, you've trained this over and over again, that's how you're going to react in a fight. And if it's multiple attackers, you're in a world of hurt. Another inherent problem with committing two arms to one side to block an attack, Tommy's going to come crashing through the line using what they call, I guess, a spiking elbow technique. There are many different names. Lots of different reality-based people teach this stuff. And I'm going to show you again another reason why you do not want to use this in a real fight. I'm going to throw the punch. Tommy comes crashing in. Congratulations. Tommy now has this knife inside his ear canal, okay? Because this person assumed that the attacker was unarmed when he was not. So it's really important to utilize defensive techniques that cover either unarmed or armed. And sometimes you can't tell, as I've said this before. I've taught law enforcement for years. The number one thing they say is, I never saw the knife. I thought it was a punch. So use techniques that take this into mind. So what's the solution? When working from this reference point, when someone attacks, use one arm to block the attack and you close the distance. You move into the attack. Someone attacks me on my left, I use this arm. Someone attacks me on my right, I use this arm. You don't commit with two arms to any side. It's a gamble you should never take in a street fight.
So why do these so-called innovators create these flawed techniques? Well, there are two main reasons. First, many of them have limited combat experience, often based on just a handful of encounters, or worse, none at all. Without truly understanding the unpredictable chaos of real violence, they cling to their limited experiences and attempt to extrapolate universal solutions. Instead of expanding their knowledge or facing the brutal realities of combat, they create techniques rooted in narrow perspectives, designed more to impress than to protect. Second, they want to stand out. It's not about developing methods that actually work when your life is on the line. It's about being different, because different sells. If they can slap a fancy name on a technique and make it seem unique or innovative, they suddenly have something marketable to package and sell to the public. Let's be honest, most of these techniques are created in a vacuum, far removed from the unpredictable chaos of a real fight. They're designed to look impressive, not to save lives. Sadly, these gimmicks often find their ways into seminars, online courses, and even certification programs. People who don't know any better buy into them, thinking they're learning cutting-edge techniques when in reality, they're being fed methods that are overly complicated, impractical, and dangerously flawed. Now, I'm no stranger to innovation myself. Over the years, I've designed unique combat methodologies that are grounded in real-world experience and thoroughly tested in the chaotic, unpredictable conditions of street combat. True innovation isn't about being different for the sake of standing out. It's about creating techniques that actually work when lives are on the line. Now, these flawed techniques aren't just about being ineffective, they're outright liabilities in a real fight. Unfortunately, many people believe they're getting something revolutionary, when in fact they're being handed a false sense of security, a dangerous mistake in life-threatening encounters. Now, I know this may sound harsh to some of you, but it's the reality of the self-defense industry today. It's a space flooded with marketers and grifters, not true combat practitioners. The cost of buying into these flawed techniques isn't just wasting time or money. It's your safety, your life, and the lives of those who depend on you. That's why cutting through the noise and focusing on methods that work under real-world combat conditions is not just important, it's essential. No gimmicks, no nonsense, just proven effective self-defense.